26 easy.
Really? So you think that people are going to still say, well, he'll be 24 next year, right? So his birthday's 3/16, which is my anniversary, Timmy. Vlad Jr. was born on my anniversary. How about that?
Yes.
Happy
birthday anniversary.
Yeah, there you go. So people are going to go, well, he's only 24. I mean, he's got everything in front of him.
Yeah, he does. And you know what this reinforces to me is he's the same age as Juan Soto, isn't he?
Yeah, they're a couple months apart.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's insane, isn't it? When you look at two players of that caliber, both turning 24. Yeah, man, there's a lot of goodness in the youth in our game, isn't there?
Okay. So that's enough about Vlad Jr. Let's go to his partner in crime, Bo Bichette.
Yes.
Let me read his stat line to you as you come up with some adjectives.
Okay.
He's got 12 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 44 runs, 43 RBIs, 254, 299 on base percentage. I don't know what his strikeouts and walks are, Tim, but the 5 stolen bases last year he did 25.
Mm-hmm. Disappointing.
That's disappointing, right?
Yes, it is, and a lot of that stems from his April. At the end of April, he had 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases, and a 213 batting average with a 237 OBP. He had struck out 26 times in April with 3 walks. He got out of the gate super slow. Now he's picked up the pace in May, and definitely June was a bit of a drop off after May, but still a decent month. But he's striking out at a very, very high clip right
25% of the time, up from 19% last year, and he never walks 5.7% of the time.
And I know I caught flack for bringing it up last year, but again, he's
very aggressive at the plate, man. He's up there swinging as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, first pitch, I don't know how many times he swings at the first pitch, but it seems to me like every at-bat. And
I was watching a game that they were playing, and the broadcasters brought that up as well. So they must have listened to your podcast, Tim.
I'm sure they did, Rich. It was on the top of their things to do Monday morning, but yeah. No, he does. You know, you watch the games, and up here we get all the Jays games. You watch them, and yeah, he swings hard, he swings often, especially at first pitches. And you know, hey, it was a dreadful start. He's turned it around, but we still haven't seen. You know, his best month was May, and that was, 339 OBP, 296. He only stole 1 base, though, hit 5 home runs. Mm-hmm. You look at June, he stole 1 base. Like, I think most people that looked at Bo Bichette were counting on 25 or so, 20 to 25 stolen bases.
Yep.
That could be a tough one, and right now, unless we see a bit of an uptick, Bo Bichette's going to fall from his lofty levels.
So let's look at the data, Timmy. Mm-hmm. He's hitting the ball really hard. 87 percentile for average exit velocity. Mm-hmm. He's not fast. He's fast, but he's not that fast. His sprint speed's at 58. So maybe this 25 stolen bases is going to be an outlier. I don't know. Here's the concerning thing. He is in the bottom 10% of chase rate, meaning that he's chasing balls outside of the zone at a very high clip.
How many of those are first pitch? I'd love to know, but a few. There's a few of them in there.
In the bowels of Baseball Savant, I could find that if I had the time. I guess I could put the podcast on hold to find that out. So, but yeah,
we'll work with the consonants and leave the vowels alone.
I mean, if pitching coaches know that, teams know that, they're not going to throw him a strike in the first pitch.
No, they're not. Why would they?
No.
And again, I brought it up last year and cut some flack for it, but I still think Bo Bichette at some point in time, if he wants to be a better all-around player, he's going to have to stand up there and let them throw him a strike on the first pitch rather than getting himself in an 0-1 hole on a consistent basis.
So, Timmy, I preach approaches, right? And a lot of times you can the first tell is the walk rate. When a guy doesn't walk, if he doesn't have a Jose Altuve level of contact rate, which means he can hit everything, so why walk? Right. You got to start to figure out what's going on. And the second tell is guys who were chasing pitches out of the zone, particularly first balls that are thrown at them. And that's not a solid approach. And the guy, I think, is going to have some struggles as his bat speed naturally slows down as he gets older.
Well, at some point in time, it's very easy, I think, for young players to be confident. And it's a good thing that they are confident. But sometimes if they're confident in, per se, like last year, okay, he had 29 homers, drove in 102 runs. Okay, he scored 121 runs, struck out 137 times, walked 40 times, stole 25 bases. Everything looks good. Okay, now as a young player, as a 23-year-old, when you put up numbers like that, how much of the future? I'm just trying to think of the right way of saying this. When he came into this year, per se, everything worked last year, so why would he change it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
How hard is it to make that change? Those are all factors that I think are going to come into play as we look at Bo Bichette next year and the year after and the year after. Because like you said, as players age, the bat speed slows. And even a tick can make a huge difference.
Agreed. So here's all I can talk about is minor leaguers, because the same thing happens at the minor league level. We talk about guys with hitches, guys with bad approaches. Even at the minor league level, if you continue to perform and hit, genuinely, the organization does not change. They don't change your approach. Hey, it's working, let's keep it going. It's when you struggle and hit a wall, that's when the dissection comes in. Better organizations like the Rays and the Dodgers will say, we know you're doing well, but you need to make these changes. At the major league level, when these guys have had some success, Tim, it is so hard. You get the Joey Gallo. This is who I am. This is how I swing. I'm not going to change.
How do you like Japan, Joey?
Yeah, right. And we're not suggesting that Bo Bichette's going to Japan, but if you want Bo Bichette as a first-round draft pick, that approach has got to get better. Timmy, he's not going to be a first-round draft pick next year.
No, because he's on pace to score 90 runs, which is fine. He's on pace to steal 10 stolen bases. That's not fine. He's on pace for 24 home runs, 86 RBIs, both down from that great 2021 season. So it's a game of adjustments, and at some point in time, I think he's going to have to make some.
Tim, we're going to take a break, get back. I'm going to tell you about a trade I made on March 31st that involved Bo Bichette. Because I had all of these feelings, and you kept echoing in my head, he swings at the first pitch every time. And I moved him, Timmy, and I'm going to tell you who I moved him for when we get back.
Looking forward to it, yeah.
Timmy, I moved Bo Bichette on March 31st for the following players. Are you ready? Are you sitting down?
Yeah, before you start, I just want to commend you because you do something way better than I'll ever do.
What's that? Listen. That's true. Well, it is a proven fact that Tim McLeod does not listen. He might listen to other people. He doesn't listen to me, which I'm okay with because I've heard myself talk, and there's a lot to listen to. So, all right.
Here's the list.
I traded him for Manny Machado, Corbin Burns.
Ooh.
And they threw in Will Myers just for kicks and grins.
Okay, yeah.
So I got him from Manny Machado and Corbin Burns.
You've got to be reasonably happy with that return.
Got to be happy. Got to be happy. I'm in contention. I was in contention last year. I got a better team this year. Part of it is Manny Machado's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
And look, I thought it was a fair trade for everyone. I needed a stud pitcher because that's one of the leagues I had stupid Trevor Bauer in. So I needed somebody like Corbin Burns
to fill in the gap. Yeah.
Fill in the gap. And he's like, well, Manny Machado's getting on the wrong side of 30. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And, You trade a 23-year-old super guy who's 29 home runs, 20 made sense for top 5 player in a dynasty league startup, right? You probably
would you be a top 5 team if you had held on to Bichette?
No. Manny Machado is carrying my offense.
Well,
that's
what about your pitching?
Yes. I would not be top 5. Nope.
No. Good.
But I've got a good team. I do have Robbie Ray and that have Tarek Skub. I have him everywhere. I've got Joe Musgrove. But these are these dynasty leagues, Tim. If you have a good team, that means you've got a good player nearly at every position. So
and you've got depth.
Yeah, and I've got depth. My biggest problem in some of these leagues that I'm competing in, the dynasty league, is I've got too much of a bench, and when guys are coming off the IL, I'm dropping really good players.
Yes, hey, Bob King, I and myself, we're at that stage now too, where a Riley Green comes up and he's playing well. Well, for every Riley Green you take out of your minors, guess what? You get 7 reserve spots.
I would drop Riley Green in DL5, Tim. You don't need him.
I'm listening for a change, and ignoring now, wondering why I'm listening.
Oh, see, there you go. That's why you do not listen. So Timmy, I got a couple of.
That's harsh. You're paying me back for my waiver wire comments.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. We got another fun segment coming up too. In fact, it's going to come up in a minute. Let's do it now, Timmy. So
now we're there.
We got a big argument. I think it was an argument right at the end of the show where I lost my shit, and I did.
It was pretty funny.
Where Tim said that the success rate of NPP players was about the same as any first round of any given year. So we did 2. One was a little better, so we went down to 2013, which was an average year. And we came up with 5 out of 10 of the top 10 guys made it. So Tim has done the research and has determined that there are 63 players who have come over from Japan. And out of those 63, 22 players have had at least one at bat. Is that what you said?
No, there's 64 that have played at least one game.
Okay.
Since they've come over. I took Seiya Suzuki out of there because it's too early to determine success or failure.
So that denominator's even bigger. So I'm already
63.
I'm giving you something there, Timmy, because my denominator is much bigger. Okay, so you've got.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely huge. And again, that's something that I think we have to emphasize, the fact that there haven't been that many players come over from Japan, have there? Really?
Well,
this is going back to 1965, and the very first player that came over for 2 years before they demanded he go back to Japan. But there haven't been really that many Japanese players.
All right, so there's been some great players, Timmy.
Yes, definitely.
Nomo was there, so he's a success. Matsui, some guy named Ichiro Suzuki, a guy named Yu Darvish, Shohei Ohtani, Matsusuki is there, Kenta Maeda. All these guys made it. Kuroda made it. Kawasaki. So our bar was Colin Moran, right?
Right.
So all of those guys clearly above that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did Sasaki, is he above the Colin Moran?
He was in the league for 3 years, and he was an all-star all 3 years, and he was the rookie of the year.
What happened to him?
He came over at 32.
Okay.
And he played for 4 years, and returned to Japan. Finished his career off. He was an older, dominant closer, big time. The Mariners had him, and he was definitely he was an all-star.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Player. 9 out of 63. So we got Kenji Jojima.
Jojima, yes. Catcher in the Seattle Mariners organization. Came over, and in his first year, I believe he hit 17 home runs. Another older player when he came over. He had 18 home runs in 2006, 76 RBIs. Followed it up with a 1461 season. Batting average 291, 287, and then faded quickly after that, injuries and left.
So he had 2 good years.